This is Get Off My Lawn Live. Join us as we talk trending topics, world and local issues, and the conversations that we need to talk about as people. Get Off My Lawn Live is a Nighthawk Network presentation. Good evening, everyone. This is your boy, Eric Buck, E. Buckner, and all the other derivatives you know me there as. I am here to once again present to you my podcast, Get Off My Lawn Live. How's everybody doing this evening? Hopefully everybody is doing well from wherever part of the country or world you may be checking in at, whether it be here on the book, on YouTube, or here in the Vigo streets. Thank you all for being a part of the podcast and the discussion, hopefully, this particular evening. Shout out to Pressure. What's going on, Pressure? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. I am very much looking forward to talking about what we have topic-wise this evening. Among them will be the latest in the Oxford High School shooting. Hey, Pressure. We also will be talking about the latest in regards to COVID and some of the thoughts and procedures taking place in regards to it. We will discuss also a little thing that we are noting that has happened on social media, something that's actually good for once. And we have another discussion to have in regards to another topic, which I have written down but don't remember offhand at the moment. Good evening, Easy E. Good evening, Big Joe. Good to see you, sir. Thank you for joining the podcast. Thank you very much. Thank you for the gifts, Pressure. I see you. But yeah, I am looking forward to having these discussions this evening, and hopefully you are looking forward to me having them as well. Please, by all means, join in the comments, offer any information you have. And remember, even if you have a difference of opinion in regards to what's being talked about tonight, we still want to hear from you. We still want to hear your opinion, because that's why we're here, to have these discussions that we as people need to talk about. So by all means, chime in. It is all appreciated. All. So that being said, give you a chance to share the program with others, to let people know what we're talking about tonight, see if they have any information in regards that could help us all in regards to the discussions. And while we do that, we will show some of the fine promos that I have here at the Nighthawk Network, so you can see some of my other partners and what they got going, and also promote some of the goods and services that hopefully will become even more plentiful as we get further into this year. So that being said, this is Get Off My Lawn Live. Eric Buckner here, and we'll be back after these fine commercials from the people that we are promoting. Here we go.
Hello. It's another glorious day, my tea sippers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comforts together, because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meat.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat.
Darling.
Viewer discretion is advised. Behind the Blue Curtain, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Unscripted talk on police reform and race relations.
And now, Behind the Blue Curtain's law enforcement liaison, retired 32-year Chicago police veteran, homicide detective, former commander, sergeant, grant writer, lecturer, and adjunct professor, Joseph J. Mosley.
Behind the Blue Curtain's Minister of Common Sense, former 12-year Fort Worth police officer, educator, voice of reason, and unapologetic practitioner of sound judgment, the young scholar, LaRonda Young.
Behind the Blue Curtain's co-host, fact checker, and investigative journalist Isidoro Rodriguez.
The views and opinions expressed here on Get Off My Lawn Live are those of the host or his guests and do not necessarily reflect those of the Nighthawk Network or its associates. Viewer and listening discretion is advised. Hey, what's going on, y'all? We are back. This is Get Off My Lawn Live. Eric Buckner, your host here, and we are here ready to talk to y'all about some of the things that we as people need to discuss. First of all, we are going to start today's discussions with the recent events in the trial for one Ethan Crumbley, also unfortunately known as the Oxford High School shooter. Apparently him and his parents were both back in court earlier last week to talk about the next steps in the trial process for both he and the parents. Basically, there are several things that have come to light in recent days in regards to the investigation and the whole scenario. Better explained by the news outlet here in the following video I'm going to play. So let's see, do we have it here? Here we go. Check it out.
Just unbelievable, Roop and Monica. We're talking about some just shocking details from the Oakland County prosecutor, who's really making a case here for all of the warning signs of Ethan's disturbing behavior, which included hallucinations of demons and ghosts, torturing animals, even filling an entire notebook apparently with drawings of guns. The Oakland County prosecutor, Karen McDonald, says the parents had to be aware and didn't do anything about it.
Calling the case of People versus Ethan Crumbley. This is case number 216611.
15-year-old Ethan Crumbley in court Friday on video from the Oakland County Jail, waiving his right to a preliminary exam.
Knowing that, is it still your desire to waive your right to a preliminary exam?
Yes.
Now, Crumbley's attorney, Paulette Lofton, will argue his case in circuit court, where he'll be arraigned likely next week. Hours later, his parents in the same jail in court. Jennifer Crumbley at times shaking her head, laughing during testimony, using signs, even saying, "I love you," to her husband. Their attorneys tried to get bond reduced from $500,000 each, saying they never tried to run.
Prior to being charged and arrested, they had received and been made aware of a plethora of threats to their lives and to their safety, and had to leave their home.
The judge denied a bond reduction during the prosecution's argument that the couple is a flight risk, damning details about what the Crumbleys did hours after the shooting.
Defendant Jennifer Crumbley texted a contact she needed to sell her horse's stat. At some point on this date, they also purchased a total of 4 cell phones. Additionally, they drained their son's bank account, transferring $3,000 into their own account, leaving him with a balance of 99 cents.
Oakland County prosecutor Karen McDonald says then from one hotel to the next, ultimately landing at the Detroit art studio of friend Andre Sakura, asking him to get them vodka, orange juice, and socks. He allegedly provided a mattress too. Then the prosecution laid out Ethan's disturbing behavior months before the shooting that they say his parents ignored. Ethan told them about hallucinations, that there was a demon in their house.
The evidence will show that Ethan Crumbley was gravely troubled, He was fascinated with firearms. He was violent. He displayed terrifying tendencies and behaviors, and he literally sketched out what he had planned to do in his journal and his drawings.
You may remember there was some talk about charging that local artist, a friend of the Crumbleys, Andre Sakura. We asked the prosecutor's office about that today, if he would be charged. They said for right now they are focusing on the 3 that are already charged. Reporting live, Jessica Dupnack, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, Jessica, the attorneys for the Crumbly parents trying to say.
Just absolutely ridiculous, people. Let's map all this out, okay? Hold on. First of all, let's get to the comments here. Hey, boo. Shout out to Fly Gwen here in the Vigo. What's going on, Miss Nelson? Good to see you, my friend. Shout out to Israel. I see you in the room as well. Okay, here we go. First of all, this could have been avoided. We've said this time and time again, more and more as the information is coming out. It is very clear to see that this is a very troubled young man. Very troubled. Something that you, even the most oblivious parent, should have recognized first and foremost. As they have gone through his belongings, his computers, his journals and whatnot, they have found all these informations to be true. They have talked to the young man, and he has collaborated that yes, he felt like he was seeing demons in the house. He was having all these unmitigated thoughts. Basically, he was torturing things. They were said to have found things like a bird's head in a jar in his room. It was reported at one point that the family dog had died. I now wonder, did the dog die or did he torture it as well? There are several journal entries that is said to be even more disturbing than what we presently know that will come out in trial. My question to you is this. You PAPs, as I am calling them, forgive me for the following phrase, but this is how I feel. PAPs, as they will be referred to from now on, but for those of you who want to know what PAPs are, I refer to them as punk-ass parents. Punk-ass parents, PAPs. These PAPs have done this man a harmful disservice, okay? They've done a terrible job of raising this child. And more importantly, when all is said and done, they planned on leaving this child to his own devices to deal with what has occurred. Hello, Uncle Eric. I'm sure that is Israel there. And hello, Kim. How are you? People, you do realize when they talk about how they basically, in the day after it all happened, drained all of his bank account, sold all their extra property, including their horses, understand that their house was several $1,000s behind in payments, and they were looking to move, that again, the family dog had died and so on and so forth, but yet they felt the need to encourage their son by buying him a firearm. We have already established that the firearm that was bought was not, in fact, the father's firearm, but a firearm bought to the son, as he pointed out in his social media that very day when the firearm was purchased. It is said that it was taken out of a lockbox that was found in the home. I think we have yet to establish that there was a lockbox for said gun. Understand, when they raided the home, there were several guns in that household. Apparently, they were registered guns, but yet and still they were guns there. Several of them, with a 15-year-old with severe mental disturbances going on in his head. Nobody thought to discuss with him what's going on. Apparently, he appears to have a little better relationship with the mom than the dad, according to the back and forth text messages. But then she's telling him things about, okay, next time do a better job of not getting caught when they find you looking at bullets in your phone while in school. Understand that several times he was caught looking at violent videos of school shootings and people shooting people. These were things that some of these students have pointed out as they have interviewed some of them in regards to this case. Marami is in the building. What's going on, Marami? People, do you understand that on the day in question that several students called off from school that day with no particular reason in sight outside of what we think we know? What am I talking about? Well, let me show you a part of this video again, and we'll discuss, okay? This one right here. Hold on.
Time parents are rushing as much as they can to that Meyer to pick their children up over at the Garden Center. The Meyer's just north of the school. Jason Colthorpe is there. I know you've been talking with parents. Jason, give us the very latest. Oh, as we see people.
Yeah, this is actually Trayshawn and his mom, Robin Redding, who Trayshawn actually didn't go to school today. I haven't gotten a chance to talk to him. He was actually just briefing police on what is believed to be kind of the threat that was leading up to this. Trayshawn, just a second, I'm going to start with your mom. Walk me through what this was like as a parent and explain. Trayshawn didn't go to school today because of a perceived threat, correct?
Well, he didn't go to school today because he was just not feeling comfortable with going to school. He had a conscience of saying, like, I don't want to go to school today, Mom. Can I just do it online? So I just said, okay, yeah. But then before him saying that, he said, Mom, none of the rest of the kids is going today. And I said, why? The rest of them not going? And he said, no. So I said, okay. He said he wasn't answering because all of them always say, I'm ready, I'm up, I'm getting on the bus, or meet me here. That nature, and that wasn't happening today.
And why was that? Was there an uneasy feeling about the kids?
Yeah, he was today? That was just an uneasy feeling that he had and didn't want to go.
I just got like a little feeling that like when I got up today, like I text me and my little cousins because I'm a senior, like they're like a little bit younger than me, so I text them and I was like, is anybody up? Who's going to school? Like, get up, let's go, we're going to school. No one responded, so I'm like, this is weird. Like, we never do this. Like, either like somebody's sick or like something's wrong. So I'm like,
what was worrying everybody? There had been some ominous threats posted in recent days. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right. That it is. I've been hearing the threats too, and it's like, kids they play around and say, oh, we're gonna shoot up the school or this. You don't supposed to play around with that.
Right.
Like, this is serious. You can't do that. So I mean, like, it's a lot of stuff that's been going on. This school, it's been tragic, and it's like, I don't even know. It's just
when you heard about what.
Okay, people, you see that, right? That happened the day of the shooting. They talked to that young man and his mom. Is it me, or does it seem like there's more to that story that both of them are not saying? Note when she started to pause and then kind of rephrase the last thing she wanted to say. Note how he's telling the story to the reporter. Part of it is he's out there in this cold. Part of it is he's nervous because he's on TV. Part of it is clearly there's some things he doesn't want to exactly say that's not being said. This is what I'm reading as he's talking to the reporter. Having been a reporter, you look for certain tales. That gives you an indication of what you should ask next. If Big Joe is in the room, he is a former investigator. I'm sure he may have seen some things in that might have interested him as well. Truly disturbing, says Kim. Hey, Ro, what's going on? Somebody knew something more. Got a PK to do. Try to make it back. All right, thank you for coming through. Yeah, definitely there were some things not being said. And understand, from my understanding, I don't know this as actual fact, but several of the students who did not report to school that day were people who were African American. Now, it is said that part of what they found in the journal were certain things involving things that talked about Nazis and things of that nature. And he apparently had things he researched in regards to that on his computer as well. You're 100% on target. I believe that is Big Joe saying that. So, yeah, there's definitely some things not being said by that young man and his mom in regards to that. Now, if I play the rest of that, we talk about, it gets to a point where they ask the mom, do you think your child should go back to that school? And she says, no, absolutely not. There's no way I want to send my child back to that school. And I've actually talked to a parent of a student that goes to that school, and she agrees that her child is not going back to that school at all, period. Now, understand there have been several town hall meetings that have been set up to talk to the parents in regards to what they want to see transpire as that school reopens tomorrow. What's good, Big? What's going on, V? I'm sure that's Coach V that I see there. But the bottom line, people, is have we really resolved that high school's issue by having that man locked up, or is there bigger issues? Remember, there were other racial issues that went on in that school. There were also other bullying issues that went on in the school. We still have not established why he chose to shoot the particular people that he shot. The only pattern that we see is that many of them were athletes or people that were among what you would call the popular kids in the school. Could there have been bullying on their side towards him, or was there a jealousy on his side towards them? A lot of that has not been answered. Again, the school is setting up to where all students are required to have a clear backpack if they are carrying a backpack in order to enter the school, but yet there has still not been any metal detectors set up, as far as I know at this point. None whatsoever. And I really find that to be very confusing to me. Any school, I would think, that has actually had a shooting take place there, that should be one of the first things you would look to do, is to set up some type of metal detector at the front door. There apparently is going to be some discussions had once the students get there in regards to measures in case of other emergencies and whatnot. There'll be some more training that's going to take place. And at this point, it's going to be a hybrid schedule where basically the first couple weeks, they'll be there for a few days and do a couple days online until they get the full school prepared. They're still working on some of the structural damage, apparently, within the school, basically the places where the school was shot up. And I think they're looking to actually change what those particular parts of the school look like to kind of get a less traumatic view of what's going on in terms of being in that space. I know if I was sitting there that fateful day where the shooting took place, I would not want to be nowhere near that part of the school. Truthfully, I would not want to be in that school at all. I could not go back to that school myself, especially if I actually witnessed him shooting people, or if I was one of the victims, because a couple of people that actually got shot in the school will be returning to school tomorrow as well. So they definitely are in my prayers. That will be a very hard thing to deal with, knowing what happened that day. And here I am walking in these same halls. Hopefully they keep a close eye on them in regards to how they react to everything. But clearly this is a situation that is a little different than most of the other school shootings. Remember, in most of those, unfortunately, the victims and the suspects no longer with us because they chose to either shoot themselves or were taken out in some way, shape, or form. So it is rare that we have this opportunity to kind of examine the mind of the shooter themselves. They should have just made it remote while they fixed it up. Apparently, that's what went on for the rest of the fall semester. But winter semester, they have determined they want to open. Remember, there are a large segment of the population that would prefer to have all schools open, period. Not just for reasons such as this, but obviously because of the whole COVID situation, as you know. And again, if Big Joe is in the room, he probably can speak to this better than I. The Chicago school district, the teachers particularly have determined that no, they are not going to return back to in-class learning until some better measures are taken in regards to the COVID setup. They have chosen not to have in-class learning until that is better situated there in the city of Chicago. As you know, there have been millions of dollars that were allocated to be spent on proper PPE and plexiglass and all of that. From what I can tell you, based on some of the schools that I know about, that is not the case in all schools. There's a reason why Detroit public schools are back to in-class learning, while other schools choose to stay open, not have any type of mask mandates, any type of social distancing at all. They are basically running those schools as if it was a normal school year, as if COVID never existed. I've had people personally tell me that based on their knowledge of what has went on in those schools. Okay, hold on. I really would like to know who these are, so let me switch over to my other page here so I can gain a better understanding. So forgive me, y'all, while I do this. Usually I have this set up already, but it was a lot going on behind the scenes today. All right. Yeah, this is Big Joe speaking this. He says the problem is multifaceted, but first step is having mental health available. CPS is not returning as of what I was told earlier tonight. So yeah, from my understanding, tomorrow they will once again not be doing in-class learning. Still have yet to determine when that will become available there in Chicago school districts. I do know they plan on having virtual learning here in Detroit for another week, and then they will revisit it after many of the students are tested. They are requiring that all students here in the Detroit public schools be tested once a week, and also for all staff and teachers to be tested, and they are to be fully vaccinated by sometime in mid-February. Not only vaccinated, but boosted as well. We'll see how all that goes. Miss Sher is here. Hey, Miss Sher, what's going on? But yeah, back to the original subject. We'll go back to the little COVID thing in a minute. This is problematic because right now we are still having the issue of people making false threats in these schools. There was a school indeed here last week that once again had to shut down early because of threats that were made within the school. I don't know if they determined who made those particular threats, but right now, based upon this situation, all threats have to be taken extra seriously and fully investigated. But it's costing our students valuable time in the classroom. It's bad enough we have to deal with COVID, but now we're dealing with this situation again. So at some point, we need to figure this out a little better. Clearly, all school systems will not be ran the same. We here in America do not seem to want any type of all around, this fits everybody scenario when it comes to many things, school being one of them. So some schools, regardless of what the situations are with school shootings or COVID for that matter, will continue to be ran the way they are, while others will look at each individual situation and make determinations based on that. It's document of the effect of copycat syndrome. I would, hold on, give me a second, people. Several you checking in. Hey, Marla. Cousin Marla's in the building. And also Donnie, Daisy Dukes, Hyman. Thanks for you coming in as well. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because since that particular day in late November, thousands of schools have reported some type of threat. A couple of them being actually credible, as they have found weapons on students who basically said, I'm going to do this, and they actually had the means to do so. Just fortunately, they were caught before something crazy happened. Now, bottom line is we got to start paying better attention to what's going on in these schools. When they start to have these behavioral situations with students, they need to be reported. They need to be monitored. They need to have the parents and the parents of their classmates know that these situations will not be tolerated, and they will be monitoring them very closely. When we have situations like this one, again, that young man should have never been allowed to go back to class that day. Plain and simple. In fact, the day before, when there was an issue, he should have been sent home at that time, as far as I'm concerned, and not have come back without that psychiatric evaluation. But because the parents were more concerned about what that looked like, they chose not to allow him to come back home. It's sad. It really is. Because this situation, this one particularly, could have very well been avoided. That young man should not be in a jail cell right now. He should be somewhere where he is being evaluated and the issues that he was having are being worked on. so that no, he does not attend that school, but he is getting the much needed help that he needs. Unfortunately, now, who knows if he will get that help, because he will probably spend the rest of his life rotting in a jail cell. Even though in an ideal world, based on what I'm looking at, his parents should probably get twice the time that he's getting, because they are PAPs. And unfortunately, they are not the only PAPs out here. So for all you PAPs that might be tuning in, start doing a better job of doing your main job, checking out your children and making sure that they are growing up to be outstanding citizens of this world, and not just raising themselves or out here alone, even though they live in a house full of folks. Don't forget that juveniles have extended rights along with different rights in the school system. Good point. But in the end, friends, we got to start somewhere. I'm tired of having this situation happen over and over again. As sure as my name is EAB, before the end of this year, there will be another school shooting. Despite all this, you know that, I know that, y'all know that. It's going to happen again. And then we have all these same discussions. Where do the solutions come in? It's time for some action. Obviously, we're not going to get to the point where, okay, we'll just get all the big guns off the streets, all the automatic weapons. You know that's not going to happen. We've been talking about that for the last 20 years, and we've got nowhere. You know that we're not going to get to a point where it's like, okay, no guns, nowhere near school, or nothing, period. Some states, they're not going to go for that. They say, no, you're not going to do nothing to my gun. I'm going to carry it when I want to. I'm going to carry it how I want to. I'm going to carry it in the school, the church, and everywhere else. Some people, they ain't playing that. Other people will see it the way I see it. The bottom line, with America being America, part of the situation is that, yes, we are United States of America, but we're not united at all at the same time. We are all over the place when it comes to a lot of these things. And somewhere down the line, we need to get some sense of, and stop calling it communism or all the other crazy things that people like to call it, and just call it common sense. That we should do things that benefits all people, not just certain majorities or certain minorities. I'm just saying. So there's that story. Speaking of guns and weapons, there was a press conference held here in Detroit this week where they pointed out that, amazingly enough, to me it was, that violent crime overall in the city of Detroit went down last year. There were less shootings overall, and there were less fatal shootings here in the city of Detroit by almost 10%. What that boils down to is about a little bit over 100 less people got killed last year by violent crime than in the year before. Part of the reason for that is based on what the chief says, a elimination of guns on the streets. They actually obtained 7,000 guns last year, DPD. They took 7,000 plus guns off the streets. However, in a city of almost 700,000 plus, I would argue that probably every other adult in the city presently has a gun, whether it be legal or illegal. And out of a good half of those people, most of them own more than one gun. They own multiple guns. And more times than not, those guns are probably not registered, considering that it takes almost a year, according to last thing I heard from you getting your CCW here in Detroit, to process the whole thing. So there's that. And some people, of course, they ain't going to look to process nothing. This is my gun, and that's that. I get caught. We'll deal with that when we cross it. But other people wanting to do it the right way, but afraid to deal with it that way because in the meanwhile, these people that don't need to have guns have them. So how do I protect myself when the criminals got all the weapons they need? And I got nothing because I'm waiting on my paperwork to go through. So there's that. But yes, the problem, unfortunately, is that overall throughout the country, crime went up last year, particularly violent crime, particularly in certain cities like New York, Portland, Oregon, of all places, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, places where you would think would be a little safer than your usual spots in Detroit, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and others. But no, violent crime is up in all states for the most part. Even though it was down here in Detroit, it still was up in the state overall. Another thing that's gone up is vehicular crime. People dying in car accidents. People drinking and driving has gone up. People having DUIs. People being arrested for drunken behavior. Most of your major crimes, in fact, have gone up significantly since the pandemic. So the question I ask you is it the pandemic that's causing the crime, or is the crime being caused by the pandemic? Which one is it, people? Are we all a little bit less patient than we have been in recent years because of our anxieties and stress from COVID? Is that what's causing a lot of this? Or are people looking to take the opportunity to say, hey, they want us to wear masks. Cool, that'll make it easier for me to do what I need to do to get over. Is that what it is? Speaking of which, people, because we're going to switch over that in a minute, but your mask, okay? Let's talk about that in a second. Let me get to these comments. Hold on. Figures lie and liars figure. Sit with me and I'll show you where they're fudging the numbers. Now, who is saying that? Let me see. Is that you, Joe? It is not showing in my commentary here. Okay, yeah, that is Joe. Okay. Well, bottom line is, I believe what Joe is saying is that their numbers are not accurate in terms of them going down. They, in fact, are up. That would not surprise me. Just like I'm not surprised by some people saying that the numbers for COVID are wrong. The difference is you guys think they are wrong in terms of how high they are. I'm saying they're wrong and they're not high enough. They're not reporting enough of it. Remember, there are several people walking around right now, COVID positive, that have not received one test for COVID, refuse to go be tested. Many of these people you see in the line, they are being tested because they are being required to be tested. There are not as many people getting tested on their own accord as you would think, because their job is saying, okay, you need to be tested because your significant other, your family member saying, please go get tested. That is why they are getting tested. And the bad part is, in some places, there are not enough tests to go around. So as a result, we got people walking around getting everybody else sick. For some of them, it's like, hey, I feel fine. They say I got COVID, but I don't care. I don't feel like I'm sick, so I'm going to work. There are several workplaces that's allowing that because they're already short-staffed. And if you basically saying you feel fine, do you? But in the same token, you going to work saying you feel fine, and they say put this on, and you like, I don't need that. I'm good. So there you are, just openly spreading it to everybody. And then there's some of you who go to work and you are required to wear a mask and all that. So when I walk up to your fast food window or to your counter, I see you and you are like, hi, can I help you? Notice how I have the mask on. Notice something not quite right about that? If you're wearing your mask that way, you might as well not wear one. Most people are getting COVID due to breathing in COVID air, basically, from other people around them. Now, are you less likely to get COVID with your mouth covered? Maybe slightly. But more than likely, you are getting COVID in this area, okay? From rubbing your eyes and this area here and from your nose. How often do you see people do that in the course of a day? How many fast food places have you been where you basically see people and they got the mask all like this, all like that, all like this, and they study all of that? How much of that have you seen? I can tell you I've seen it quite a bit myself. If it's not covering the whole nose and mouth, it's pointless to have it on. My point exactly. So you wonder why. I don't understand why so many people getting sick. I see a lot of people with masks on. Do you though? Do you really? And then let's talk about the mask, shall we? Some people, they don't want to wear no mask. So they get the flimsiest mask they can find. They get that little paper one you see everybody with that look like surgical mask, but it's about that thin. Remember the little test we talked about? Remember that last year when I went through the whole scenario, like put it up to the light. And if you see the light clearly through this mask, then remember, the light can get through it. More than likely the germs and stuff are getting through it too. They have said, if you're going to wear the mask, you want to wear a multi-layered mask. They're now saying that the cloth mask might not be sufficient because most people are wearing little bitty cloth masks like these. Where basically there's no layer in that. You see that? That's basically 2 layers, okay? They want you to wear a multi-layer mask like this one. This is a 3-layer mask. Or if you can, obtain one of these K or N95 masks with the multiple layers for you to protect yourself with. I myself, as you see me just pulling out mask after mask, that's because the mask that I wear on a daily basis, do you see that? I'm currently wearing this multi-layered cloth mask and this K95 mask. That's just how much concerned I've been of late about catching COVID. Even though I do believe at some point I actually did. Why do I know that to be partly maybe true? Because I saw this report and it hit home with me. Check it out.
The CDC updated its recommendation for when many people can receive a booster shot. The agency shortened the waiting period from 6 months to 5 months after your second Pfizer shot. That recommendation comes as researchers learn of a new Omicron-specific symptom.
Brandy Smith explains why these variants are showing up in different ways.
Why are people infected with the Omicron variant showing a strange new symptom? At this point in the pandemic, we're all pretty familiar with the symptoms of COVID: fever, cough, and a loss of taste and smell. But now that Omicron is the dominant strain in the United States, people are starting to report a symptom often associated with a litany of other conditions: night sweats. That means repeated episodes of extreme perspiration, often leaving your clothes and sheets soaked with sweat by the time you wake up. The change in symptoms was first noted in Britain, which was hit with Omicron before it quickly spread to the U.S. Doctors with the country's National Health Service now say night sweats are a sign you should go get tested for COVID. The other symptoms most reported with Omicron are sore throat, headache, and fatigue. Common COVID symptoms like loss of taste and smell don't appear to be affecting people infected by this new variant. The good news is there is growing evidence that Omicron causes less severe symptoms. The research shows the extremely contagious variant is more likely to infect the throat than the lungs, meaning it's doing less damage to the lungs.
So that is one report. I have seen a couple others that are very similar in regards to that. Night sweats. Now understand, me as a 51-year-old male who is going through the male version of the change of life. Oftentimes at night, I have trouble sleeping. We have documented that many times on the show. But also, I do have nights where it's very hot. And I wake up and I'm just very, very, very warm. And a couple weeks ago, when I thought I had COVID, as I talked to you all about, the night sweats were definitely happening to me to the point to where it was very cold one night. And I literally had to get up and put the fan on and turn my heat down because I was that hot. So that's what led me to believe maybe I do have COVID. So I went and got tested negative. A few days later, tested negative again. But I don't know if that meant I never had it, or if it's these other symptoms from other things, or basically I had it and it kind of just went and came because I'm fully vaccinated. I don't know. These are the confusions that we're having right now. My aunt just had the gas and electric guy come to her. She made sure to tell him to keep his mask on as she asked. Well, days later, she got a call that he had COVID. And there's that. Understand, if I don't have COVID at this point or didn't have it even then, it's because I'm extremely blessed and fortunate and probably vaccinated also. I could throw into that because there are many people in my circle of circle who are presently with COVID or recently had COVID. And I was around them for some small time. Now understand, It is extremely rare that you will see me without a mask on in public. Usually it's a scenario where I've been in the Walmart for 30 minutes and then on my way back to the car, I pull it down as I walk to the car. But if I'm anywhere around a whole bunch of people, on my way to the car, I'm putting it right back on. If I'm at work, I always have it on. I can't even, it's basically as soon as I walk in the door, I put it on. The only time I take it off is to right quick or to go in the bathroom. But beyond the realm of that, I can't do it. It is not to say that this mask is going to fully protect me, because it's not. I am very aware of that. But you are less likely to spread COVID if you are masked. You are less likely to spread COVID if you are vaccinated. These things have been documented as facts. Yet and still, people are saying now, well, people that have the vaccine are still getting sick. They still catch Omicron. So why bother? Why bother getting vaccinated if you still can get it? No one ever said, nobody who knew what they were talking about at least, ever said that once you got vaccinated, you would not catch COVID. Nobody said that it was like your Thor hammer or your Captain America shield, and now you are fully protected from every and all things. There is no such medicine for any of this stuff. Please know that. When you get the flu shot, there's still that possibility you can get the flu. We've known that. We've talked about that. When you get vitamin shots for a cold or things of that nature, when you take your sea moss and all these other things that all the holistic people feel like if they take, it's just as good as the vaccine. There's still that possibility you can get sick, whether you claim you are fully vaccinated or immunized, as a famous athlete recently did, and still came up with COVID. It's still a possibility. The thing is, what makes it less likely for you to be severely sick or hospitalized? That is where our real problem lies. In the end, if everybody was getting COVID and they basically just go home and pop a couple pills, we wouldn't be having these discussions. We would care less. We'd be like, okay, well, just kind of stay away from everybody. And, when you feel better, come on out. But at least you ain't got to go to the hospital. If COVID was truly the flu, the vast majority of people that get the flu do not have to be hospitalized, okay? They basically go home and drink up the hot liquids and soups and stuff, and in a few days, they're okay. This is stronger, even though Omicron is not as strong as Delta. This is still stronger than your average flu, people. This is not the same. Okay, let me read this right quickly, y'all. I just attended H2's funeral, and I wore a double-layer cloth mask, a N95 mask, and rubber gloves. I can say the church tested all that entered with a thermometer and made sure the seating was every other pew to distance. I was grateful for them taking the proper steps, but there was still some with no mask, obviously, for part of the service. I couldn't stay and totally as I had to work, but blessed to praise and celebrate my friend's life. Love to him, life, may he rest in heaven. Let me see who that was. I really would like to know. All right, hold on. That was Amy. Okay, thank you, Amy Sample, for that. Appreciate it. Don't know why the book is not showing all the names of all the participants today. But again, pretty much everywhere I go here in the city, for the most part, the majority of people are being cautious and wearing some type of mask. But then there are people that are choosing not to wear one whatsoever and are looking at you funny when you do so. There are still people fighting with the bus drivers when they get on the bus talking about why I got to wear a mask. There are people fighting with the Lyft and Uber drivers because they have to wear a mask, even though they have required this since January of last year. And that has not changed at all. Nor should it anytime soon, based on the recent numbers, where we got close to 1 million people being tested positive just this last 7 days. In the last 7 days, over 1 million people have tested positive for COVID. Put that in perspective, okay? Based on the last 30 days, we've had almost 2 million people. Before that, the last 3 months, we had 1 million people. And so on and so forth. So the numbers are clearly trending in the wrong direction. Hospitalizations are up. Fortunately, the deaths are actually a little down over the last 7 to 14 days, but we're still talking about 13 to 1,400 people dying due to COVID. And let's talk about that for a minute, because it was discussed on one of the news outlets this week about the reporting of the numbers in regards to people dying from COVID. One person asked, is it true that people who are considered COVID deaths, people that did not die necessarily of COVID, but from having COVID in their system at the time they died? In other words, are there people who are dying because of COVID? And are they being counted with the people who died who just happen to have COVID in their system when they died? For example, let's just say somebody got shot and that's how they died. The reason why they died was because they got shot fatally, but then they got tested and it turns out that they had COVID. Is that same person being counted as a person who actually went to the hospital, did the whole tube in the mouth and all that, and died from COVID? The answer in many of the states is yes, they are counted together. But then in the same token, some states are not counting as many COVID deaths as they should be. So there's even more people dying from COVID in those states, and they're not being reported. Okay, the state of Maryland is mask mandate per the health department till January 31 as of now. I agree with the mask wearing as Maryland is gaining 7,000 cases daily. Here in Michigan, we are gaining about 20,000 cases daily in the last 5 days. Put that in perspective, 20,000 cases daily, many of them in the large population area that is Detroit and the surrounding suburbs. If you visit New York City, you must have a mask. Not only must you have a mask when visiting New York City, they are requiring people to take the test before they enter New York City. They are requiring them to mask in all indoor facilities, period, regardless of what it is. Restaurant, school, church, theater, all of that. That is why we have the situation with people like Kyrie Irving, who is not vaccinated. And because he's not vaccinated, he is not allowed to work in the city because he is not vaccinated. That part. But see, again, part of the problem I feel is the fact that we are, on the one hand, saying here in this place, we can do this. But here in another place, it's okay if you don't do this. And because people just can't seem to sit still, they always got to be traveling and going somewhere, because otherwise they feel like they're not living their best Duval life. That is part of why COVID has spread the way it has. Remember, every holiday we've had since the beginning of COVID in its fullest has resulted in some type of spike in COVID numbers in the next 2 to 4 weeks after. This is no exception. If the hospital has a positive COVID tested patient, whether they're there for COVID or not, the hospital gets federal funding for every positive tested patient. And here's the thing, you would think based on that, as people want to point out all the time to me, that yeah, they almost want you to get COVID, so when you come in, they can make more money. If that was the real thought process, that means that, oh, this person that just got their leg broken, whatnot, let's go ahead and send them home so we can have another bed for a COVID patient so we can make more money. The reason why you get more federal funding for the people is because it costs more to treat a person with COVID than it does your basic patient ABC. That is why there's more money being provided. Because on average, those patients are staying in the hospital longer than people with just normal illnesses or things of that nature. It is to make up for the fact that in certain places, if most of your beds are filled up with COVID patients, you cannot take the time to do optional surgeries that people like to get done. If you want to see family that bad, get you in them Facebook portal or sign up for Zoom. Hell, get StreamYard, some to that effect. But no, I don't think that's part of the problem. So some people, they feel like they get anxiety if they're not allowed to do what they want to do. That is why they claim anxiety. They're not allowed to do what they want to do. Or I can't go out and hang out with people and smoke and drink and socialize. Oh no, my mind. I don't know why that is for some people. We all can pretty much figure out if we actually did go on lockdown, as we probably should, considering that the numbers are higher now than during the times we were locked down. Look them up for yourselves. Johns Hopkins University, CDC, whatever major site that has those numbers can show you. When we were on lockdown, the numbers were not this high. They are higher now, but yet here we are still trying to just go on the fly with it, hoping that because Omicron does not appear to be as crippling in terms of people dying, that we'll just kind of ride the wave, let everybody get it, and hopefully gain some type of herd immunity. Remember that term, herd immunity? That basically the thought process was that if we get enough people vaccinated, enough people who have had it, build these antibodies, that between the two of those things, we would pretty much get rid of COVID in terms of the large numbers. Clearly, that's not going to work, people. Right now, we got a little bit over 60% of the country fully vaccinated. Again, as I pointed out last week, we'll probably gain another 5 to 8% over the course of this year, but little more than that unless we require and mandate that people take the vaccine. If we still leave it to be people's choice, more than likely we are not going to get much bigger numbers than that. Even with the vaccine now being available at this point to anybody from the age of 5 on up. It's just not going to happen. You are not going to talk people into getting it. And the commercials they run, I must admit, seem more counterproductive than productive in convincing people on getting the vaccine. It do come off as somewhat of a scam, the way they do some of these commercials, particularly when you are trying to stylize them for particular groups of people and races. It comes off as racist, like, oh, why they in such a big hurry to give my black self this vaccine? They ain't worried about me. They're trying to get rid of me. They know that's the mindset of certain people, and that's how they feel about it. Why would you not do things that would be more productive in trying to convince people? You know, part of what someone said is that when we have people get their children vaccinated, we oftentimes allow them to have, ask if we can have their number so other people that are on the fence about getting their child vaccinated can talk to them personally, one-on-one, and talk about their concerns and, what have they seen since their child been vaccinated, so on and so forth. But yet there are people like myself that talk about being vaccinated and, how basically I had very little symptoms and all of that. But yet people always want to point out that one story they saw. Well, I heard somebody got the vaccine, they died. It was being reported when Betty White passed earlier this year. Yeah, Betty had got the booster shot a week before. She died from the booster shot. They were saying that online. It's just ridiculous. Betty White was 99. People, come on. Really? Really? She was already fully vaccinated for over a year, but now all of a sudden she gets the booster, and that's what killed her. As resilient as Betty White was. People don't just walk around living to 99. Come on. Sometimes I just need y'all to think a little bit more. I think y'all seek out these videos because that is your excuse. Bottom line, the reason why I don't get as much traction as I could in regards to the podcast, especially when I have this subject that I talk about, is because y'all don't want to hear that. And you don't want to hear it because you scared. You're scared. You're either scared of the needle itself, or you're scared to take the shot. You're scared what happens if I'm wrong. Well, understand, over 200 million people in this country have taken that chance, and very few of them have died because of vaccine. Have some people died because of the vaccine itself and some of these side effects? Yes. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. It's happened. But that is a very small percentage, people. Very small. Similar percentages of other people that take shots. But yet you are that same person that will go to the doctor and he will tell you take this, this, and this, and you don't question any of it. You take that pill, you drink the water, and you keep it pushing. You don't know what's in that pill. You ain't read no ingredients or nothing. But now all of a sudden we got all these junior etymologists that say, oh yeah, don't do that. This is in there, that's toxic, blah, 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 as they roll up another toxic cigarette and drink some more liquor. That part. Make it make sense, y'all. Dr. Robert Malone, MD, is one of the scientists that created the vaccine and has stated it's not safe to give any of the youth this vaccine as it's causing brain and heart problems, especially in the male youth. Okay, now who put that? Let me see. This is really frustrating, but I really wish you could organize this to where everybody could see everybody's comments, and I don't have to keep going back and forth like this here. All right, hold on, y'all. We are trying to figure out who said what. Base, if you see this Facebook user pop up under your comment, if you could do us a favor and state who you are for, so I can properly address you, that would be helpful. Thank you. Because right now, I'm not getting no cooperation. But nonetheless, like I said, for every one video that most people can cite, I can cite 2 or 3. We could go back and forth all day. The bottom line is what we going to do. Your way is not working. We still got COVID. The way that I went with getting the vaccine, that's not working. We still got COVID. Where do we meet in the middle and start to figure this out so that by the time my birthday get here in November, we ain't worried about COVID? Amy said that. Okay. Where do we meet in the middle, people? I'm still not going to sit here and say, you need to take the vaccine. It's your fault. I don't feel like that. You have to make your own decision for your own mind, because in the end, you the one got to live with it. What I am saying is that at some point, you find yourself in a scenario where they are saying, okay, we're not offering it for free no more, but you needed to do this and this and this. What do you do then? I'm saying, what do you do when at some point they say, well, we moving on. For the 20-25% that's not vaccinated, this is what you are no longer allowed to do without being fully tested or quarantined and all of that. Are you willing to live your life on those means? Because in the end, that seems to be the most logical thing to do. If we get to where it's just 20 or 30 million people out of the 360 million here that have decided not to do it, they will be treated differently. They will pay different pay rates for insurance. They will pay a different rate for when they go to the hospital and all that. I think that may be the potential future of this thing if we don't somehow figure this out some other way. Or pray that because now everybody got Omicron, that we finally do have some type of herd immunity and the numbers go down based on that. And of course, at that point, there will be those people like, see, I ain't take no vaccine and I was just fine. I don't know what the answer is to that one, y'all, but I know we gotta do something. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. But yeah, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, there's a couple more items I want to talk about before we head out for the evening. One of them is involving a challenge, actual good challenge for once, one that I would not only be participating in, but would like to challenge you to do as well. So when we get back to Get Off My Lawn Live, we're gonna talk about that. All right. This is that show. Lego.
Who said that you can win? And who said it's too late to try again? 'Cause if you're breathing, that's your cue. God's not through using you. I choose life. I choose life. I choose life. I choose life. Get back up again and dream. Fight for your destiny. I choose life. I choose life. 'Cause life comes with so many changes. At times it feels like you're never gonna win.
All right, that is the show No Weapon Formed Against Us. That should be showing tomorrow evening sometime, I believe. Got to get with my cousin and kind of work out some stuff. There's been some changes made to the show in terms of the time and the host and all of that. So once I get a better understanding of that, I'll be able to give you guys that as well. But I do believe that show will take place tomorrow evening. If so, we will post it in the Nighthawk Network information page for you to check out. There's also another show that we will be doing tomorrow. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, I want to talk about the latest challenge that was put on the social media platforms. This one actually is a good challenge, and it involves one Betty White. Betty White, as you know, passed away on New Year's Eve, I believe it was, at the age of 99. And apparently somebody came up with the wonderful idea to honor her by waiting to her birthday, which was to take place later on this month, and basically going to your local animal shelter or place where they deal with animals and donating $5 in her honor, at least $5 in her honor. As you know, Betty White was a serious advocate for animals and against animal cruelty and things of that nature. She spent a good part of her earnings in life, as well as her time, lending herself to the cause of animals, her furry friends. So I think that is definitely a great way to honor Betty White on what was to have been her 100th birthday. So I too will be looking for one of my local animal shelters to donate the money to. And I would challenge you as well to do the same. Find a place in your local area or perhaps one of the national animal shelters or animal societies and donate that $5 or more to their cause. I think they will very much appreciate it, and I hope they very much benefit from that on the day of her birthday. That is how we will honor Miss Betty White, who did a lot for many folks, not just for animal cruelty, but people of color, people who are women, women's rights. She was an advocate of many of those things as you get to know her life story. So to honor Miss Betty White, can we all please do that? And when her birthday comes later on this month, donate $5 to the animal shelter or animal housing place of your choice. I think that would be a great thing to do. Now, before we go, I want to talk about the show that we're doing Monday. As you know, unfortunately, our friend Miss Helena Hologram passed away late November, and her memorial was yesterday. I was unable to attend, but I heard that it was a very good service, and it was well represented. My friend is gone in body, but not in spirit. And to further acknowledge that, what we're going to do is honor one of H2's last wishes, which was to have a season 3 of the show that she entitled Hey Bitches Live. So what we're going to do is for season 3, we're going to give you guys the best of Hey Bitches Live. So at 8:30 p.m. tomorrow evening and the Mondays to follow, we will be highlighting certain shows from the show. We'll also look into some of the other shows Helena did as her alter ego, or basically herself, that being Derek. In other words, we're talking about the remix with your boy Derek. So we'll be doing some highlights from that show as well. And as you know, Derek oftentimes joined me on my shows, so we will highlight some of them. We'll even go into a couple shows that he did with our Mr. Big Meech on the Big Meech Edition T show. So this way we will not only honor H2, but we'll kind of remember some of the things that made H2 the great and well-loved person that she was throughout the country and the world. So we will bring to you at 8:30 p.m. and every 8:30 p.m. for the next 6 months the best of Hey Bitches Live. Now understand, I'm going to give you a quick little understanding of how that's going to work, because we have a clip of actually the very first Hey Bitches Live, which apparently was not when you thought it was. Now, I know me and H2 was going over, okay, when exactly was your first Hey Bitches Live? We determined that it was actually done on my birthday, November 2nd, 2020. But as I have looked through the archives of the YouTube channel, which is H2's YouTube channel, Helena Hologram, which is still up for anybody who wants to go and basically look back at some of the shows and kind of get some good memories of your friend H2, that this actual very, very small broadcast was the original pilot episode, if you will, the test run of Hey Bitches. So without further ado, we're going to give you the 1.5 minute pilot of the original Hey Bitches. Check it out.
Oh yeah, now, Lord, this is rather confusing. Hello, hey, bitches. Yo, you too? Yes, honey. This is my first. This camera thing is getting on my nerves. Girl, I know how to rotate, but apparently I don't know how to rotate this camera, honey. Hey, bitches. I come to tell you my name is Miss Motherfucking Helena Hologram. I'm Derek at the moment, but you'll see me many different times being many different people. You might see me like this. You might see me at the beginning, the middle, and the end of me doing makeup. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to say one thing to all of y'all. Hey, bitches. Ow, what's going on, honey? I'm talking about all you bitches. Male, female, in between, in the middle. Hey, fiddle diddle, no teeth. All of y'all. Hey, bitches. Well, I really just wanted to see how this worked, and now that I know how it worked, Mother Helena Hologram, I will be coming back to you guys on a regular. Sometimes I'll be like this, sometimes I'll be like Helena, sometimes I feel like a nut, sometimes what you can fill in the blanks, honey. You'll get the whole story sooner than later. Trust me when I tell you. Peace, and I'm out. I don't know how to turn it off, but I guess I'm out. Wait a minute, honey. We're gonna figure this out.
And there you have it, the very first pilot episode of Hey Bitches Live. I can't help but laugh and feel sad at the same time, and watching that yet again, it is just it just gives you everything that was H2. Okay, the funny side, the passionate side, the entertaining side, the whole shebang bang. And you will often get that as we review some of the old past shows. Keep in mind, I'm also looking for any of you, as we will post these on all of H2's media pages that are still up for viewing. We'll look for any of you who are on the show or who were scheduled to be on the show, or basically who knew H2 at all, to come on through. Not only comment, but if you would like to be part of the flashbacks for the season, we definitely would like to encourage you to come on through and give us your thoughts and understandings of the person that we knew as Helena Hologram, but was also known in this world as Derek Smith. You can do that by hitting me up here at Night H Network 313 at gmail.com. Again, it is Night H Network 313 at gmail.com. And then I believe soon we will have a number where you can contact me as well. So if you want to be a part of the show, whether you want to be part on the air, or if you just want to call in during the show, or however you want to contact us, if you want to leave a message in regards to something you saw on the show, any of that. So as opposed to having Hey Bitches, we will now have the best of Hey Bitches, hosted by me, co-hosted, of course, by the late, great Helena Hologram. So that being said, we will definitely see you tomorrow night for episode 1 of that. But thank you all again for your comments and your thoughtfulness in regards to everything we talked about today. Remember, when all is said and done, we are just trying to make it to the next day the same way we made it to this day. In one piece, breathing the earth's good air and being a better version of ourselves than we were the day before. Hopefully that's something that many of us will strive for. So until next time we meet tomorrow, and of course next week when we come back with the show that we know as Get Off My Lawn Live, I am your host, Eric Buck, E-Beezy. Thank you all. Thank you, Rod. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Big Joe. Thank you, Coach V. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Javon. And thanks to all of you, of course, in the Vigo streets for your gifts and for your comments as well. We are very thankful to have you all here, and we appreciate all of you viewing in whenever you do, for however long you do. It is all appreciated by me. And, of course, the Nighthawk Network. So that being said, we will see you guys tomorrow. If you are viewing on the Nighthawk Network information page, Big Meat should be coming to you guys very shortly. Tune into that show for Say What I Said Sunday and see what that's about. And until next time we see each other, have a good one. Be blessed. Be safe. Remember, life is not a Trump rally. Wear your mask and wear it correctly, okay? One more time. Like this, okay? Like this. Not like this. Like this. That part. See ya. If you got COVID, I definitely don't want to be you. So stay away from me. Anyway, y'all be all right out there, okay? And we are looking for that famous outro, man. There it is. Bye-bye.